Good day, everyone. I am May Falconate Orlandes, and today I'm going to discuss the last topic for this subject, which is assessment in teaching prose. So, what is assessment in teaching prose? So, assessment is vital in teaching prose because it evaluates students' comprehension, interpretation, and appreciation of a literary works. Through assessment, teachers can determine if students understand the text or can analyze if the elements and appreciates its message and literary values. And now let's move on to the purpose of assessment. So the main purpose of assessment first is it measures whether learning objectives are achieved. Second, it helps develop students' literary analysis and critical thinking skills. And lastly, it gives teachers in improving and adjusting their teaching strategies based on the students' performance. And now let's have the formative assessment. So, what are the formative assessment? So, formative assessment is assessment which is conducted during the learning process. Examples: reading journals, class discussions, and short written responses. These activities provide ongoing feedback which helps students reflect on what they read and allow teachers to monitor students' understanding and give them immediate support. And now let's have the summative assessment. So what is summative assessment? Summative assessment are the assessment which is given at the end of a lesson or a unit. So again, formative assessment is given during the lesson, during the discussion of a lesson, while the summative assessment are done are done after the discussion or at the end of the lesson. Examples: literary analysis essay, examinations, and book reports are used to evaluate students' overall understanding of prose text. The summative assessment measures how well the students have met the learning objectives. So here in summative assessment, you can determine if you've met your objectives or not, if you're going to discuss again the topic or not, because your student understand the topic enough. And now let's have the effective assessment practice. So there are qualities of having an effective assessment. So first, assessment should be aligned with instructional goals, use clear criteria and rubrics, and consider a diverse learning styles. This ensures fairness, clarity, inclusivity in evaluating student learning. So again, in creating an assessment, you don't just create it based on your own. You must have a lot of criteria to consider. So again, must align with the instructional goals, use clear criteria and rubrics for your student to understand what you want them to do, and rubrics for them to analyze also their scores or their performance, whether they pass the assessment or not. And then consider diverse learning styles. So in giving them an assessment, you must also consider your students' diverse learning styles. So don't just focus on reading or in writing or in drawing or in singing, but when you give an activity, it must accommodate everyone, not just one student. And of course, you must give them a clear instruction in doing so, because if they don't know if they don't know what you want them to do, so of course they won't do they won't do what you want them to do, and that will reflect, you will think that they don't understand your topic, but they do understand your topic, but they don't your instructions are not just clear. That's why they instead of making the right assessment, or instead of making what you want them to do, they end up making what they think you want them to do. So in conclusion, assessment Assessment enhances students' analytical, interpretive, and communication skills. It also promotes meaningful learning in prose by encouraging deeper understanding and appreciation of a literary text. And that's all for my report. Thank you and God bless everyone.